Hi, Chris Moore, financial advisor. Today, we're going to talk about titling. So, what kind of titles are we talking about? Hey, magic camera person, why don't you put down my title down here so that people can see a title? Hey, change that right now. You know that's not right. That's better. So, is that the kind of titles we're talking about? No. And hopefully, if you make a mistake with one of those titles, pretty easy. You just take it and say, oops, sorry, let me change it. Not a big deal. So, what kind of titles are we talking about? We're really going to talk today about titles for financial accounts, whether the accounts are at a bank or credit union or in a brokerage or at some investment company. Those are the type of titles we're going to talk about today. Okay, so we've determined that we know what kind of titles we're talking about. Basically, those titles are divided into two main categories. That is non-qualified titles versus qualified titles. And you say to me, how does that work? Pretty much it works like this. If it's a qualified title, it usually has some section of the Internal Revenue Code, the tax code, that defines what it is, how you can put money in, how you can take money out, and about that. It's got some tax-related information, so that goes under that title. Non-qualified titles, you guessed it, have nothing to do with the tax code. It's kind of just ordinary when you go and open up a financial account, what you can choose from if you don't have tax preferences in mind. Since I don't like taxes, I like saving on taxes, but I don't like taxes, we're going to start with non-qualified account titles. What would be one? A single person opens up an account, or even a married person opens up an account and just puts it in their name. That's called a single person. That's a non-qualified account title, single. You can have joint. You can have joint rights of survivorship. A common one that some people use, but not everybody, is trust. So if you have a trust drawn up and you want to open an account for the trust, it has to be in the trust name, and that's how it's titled. And really, it's who owns the account. That's what title means. Non-qualified account mistakes, common mistakes. Common one is the name is misspelled on the account. Pretty much should take care of that, but that's a common mistake. It's not a big deal. They just go in and correct it. Joint account, not having both of the joint people on it. Trust accounts. This could be bigger if you open a trust account and they check really close, but let's say they missed the trust date or whatever, and it's really not in there. That could be a problem later when you try to go execute on somebody's looking at it, hey, these don't match. So you want to, on those type of things, you're going to want to take a little time and make sure it's correct. Usually it's not a big deal moving it from one to the other. I had a client, they actually had their father opened up a trust, never titled anything in the trust, never went to the bank, opened up a trust account, which you kind of have to do, didn't put the house in the name of the trust, was still in his name, and then he died, and so the trust was worthless. So that's a common mistake that could be pretty expensive that you'd really want to take some time with and make sure it's titled correctly. Besides that, moving it around between account titles, going from a single account to a joint account really has, or going into a trust account and coming out of a trust account really has no major impact. If it transfers to another person, you might have some cost basis issues when you do that, but those are not allowed. So that's pretty much the mistakes that are common when you talk about non-qualified accounts. Qualified accounts. And let's list what are some common account titles of qualified accounts? Well, IRA, individual retirement account, is a qualified account. 457, may not have heard of it. It's defined compensation plan, qualified account. 401k, you've heard of that. 401k, most people have 401k. 403b, simple IRA, SEP IRA, money purchase plan, pension plan. So lots and lots of different account titles that are qualified, their tax preference. Oh, and I missed my favorite one, Roth IRA. How could I forget about that one? So that's another qualified account title. Qualified titling account mistakes. Nowadays, when you have qualified assets and you're moving them around, the custodian is the person that kind of is in charge of the account. So it doesn't really happen very often that your account would go from a qualified account to a non-qualified account or go into the wrong type of qualified account. Those rules are now pretty tight, so that usually doesn't happen. If it does, hopefully you notice it quickly, you can get that rectified. But those have been, thank goodness, those have been alleviated. So some may not seem like, to me, they're a mistake, to others, not. It's just because they ended up having to pay more tax on the account than they would have normally if they had a different strategy for the withdrawal. So what do I mean by that? It's where somebody has a 401k or a large IRA, takes out a large lump sum to pay off something that's non-qualified, like a house. So they take all out, they have the tax withholding, pay a lot of tax where it puts them in a couple different tax brackets up from where they normally would be if they took it out over a period of time. So people, that's not a mistake. To me, that's a titling mistake. They're moving it from a qualified asset to a non-qualified asset, and they're not taking into account really what is the impact of taxes. So that's a mistake for me. I had a client. She had an IRA I took over for her. She was taken out aggressively. I was taking a lot of tax money out. One day I asked her, she was complaining about the taxes. I said, well, to help her out, you've got a tax break when you put the money in. She goes, no, I didn't. Okay, I said, where'd the money come from? She said she inherited it from her grandma. Okay, that's non-qualified money, grandma's inheritance. It went into a qualified account. The institution accepted it. Now my client's taking out and paying tax. That seems like a pretty big mistake. Whoever helped her with that was a big mistake, if that's really what happened. That wraps it up. The takeaway from this video, hopefully, titling is important. And it can't be fixed as easy as somebody puts Mrs. instead of Mr. in front of your name. So you're going to want to make sure you pay attention to what's on when you open an account, what the title is. And so hopefully this video has provided you some more information. If you have questions on titling, who can help you? Well, a financial professional, a lawyer could help you. What I would say is I'm a financial advisor. I help with titles. If you have a financial advisor, ask them. Usually they're pretty good about knowing how things are titled and how to move assets and what's the best plan for you. And take some time and don't be in a hurry because it's probably something you don't want to make a mistake on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.